Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly armchair kickoff. This is the Manchester United generational head loss under Ten Hag versus Liverpool review. And my face says it all, Freddie's face says it all, and definitely Dick's face says it all. We are here at our mercy. We are here to try and have a bit of fun whilst we review the nicest word. Oh, yeah, disaster class. But, gentlemen, how are you? Literally, besides the game, how are you?
As always, United are bad for your health. I think it's more so who we're playing against. It's that shower from 30 miles down the road that we just never like to lose to. And I think we were playing actually okay up until Casemiro's two brain farts. I thought we'd been playing well. We're moving the ball nicely. And to gift Liverpool 2 goals is always going to come back and bite you in the ass, you know.
Yeah, I've got a very appropriate analogy for it, but I'll get Freddie first. Like, how are you as well, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, it's just who it is, how it happened, and the fact that we have to wait a couple of weeks now for the international break before we can even try to redeem ourselves. So yeah, like not great. I'm sure we'll diagnose it in the next 30, 40 minutes or so. So yeah,
we'll certainly try our best, and I think a very appropriate way to depict our performance is also for Casemiro. Casemiro under pressure is just like this guy hosting a stream.
Sorry.
Yeah, Dara and Casemiro are experts at choking where it really matters most. So we certainly won't do that, but we have got a lot to review. We've got a lot to discuss. We've got select players to actually criticise and call out. We've got a manager who's had a generational head loss beyond words. The narcissism is at its peak with Erik Ten Hag, but I don't feel sorry for the whole team. I feel sorry for a select few players, but I feel sorry for all the fans that had to watch that inside Old Trafford and also anywhere else if you've got family members that are United and Liverpool fans, because some families are like that, myself included. My brother's a Liverpool fan. If you have that, then I genuinely feel sorry for you. The players that didn't turn up today, I don't feel sorry for you. The manager, I don't feel sorry for you either. Because your comments after the game, we're going to come to those in just a few minutes. But when you look at the game, I agree, Dick, you were right. When the first 20, 30 minutes, I'll get to you in a second, Aidan, don't worry. First 20, 30 minutes, United dominated the possession. They were playing it around Liverpool quite comfortably. Liverpool were abject. They were still trying to find their rhythm, but they were slower than usual. But this is the team that's had, 40 odd shots in 2 games. The team with the highest expected goals for in the league. They've got the highest goals against in terms of, like, you're not going to get past them. Like, stats per game, like, they're just insane right now. And what's even more annoying is Arne Slot's now managed 3 Premier League games. Ten Hag's been here for his 3rd year, and I know which team looks like a team that's actually got a set playing style. Already look like Liverpool look like they've got a playing style. Which proves the point that given a manager time, he needs X, Y, Z, he needs all these players. He just walked in, he signed 1 goalkeeper. He doesn't need style. He doesn't need any of that nonsense. So where does this come now? Where does Ten Hag go from here? What do you think, Freddie?
So I think we just need to be level-headed. It's difficult to compare ourselves to Liverpool because, yes, they've got a new manager, but they are light years ahead of us in terms of pretty much all aspects regarding on the field. They've got a set squad. They've got world-class players. Arguably, they didn't need, that many signings. It's difficult to improve most areas of that team, and today showed that. Whereas we are polar opposite. We've got holes in the squad. players aren't fit. We've got a lot of new players, so they're still gelling together. We've got a whole new off-the-field structure, including coaches, which have only been together weeks, really. So these things take time to gel, and it's not what anyone wants to hear. And look, we shouldn't be losing at home, full stop, let alone in that manner. But it just shows that we are nowhere near it at the minute, and this is going to take 1, 2, 3 years until we're actually seeing vast improvements, and that's because of the detrimental damage that's been dealt to the club in the last 10 years. And the culture is just rotten. Everything we've said over the last years, that hasn't changed yet, and nor should it. Ineos in February, and they're not going to click their fingers, sign 5 or 6 players, and everything's going to be rosy. So there's question marks, of course, of the manager. I think we need to. I'm not gonna go all in crisis mode personally after 3 games into this season. If there's no improvement by Christmas, say, for me that's when alarm bells will be ringing. But look, it was a bad day at the office. I think there have been improvements in the previous 2 games, even the Brighton game where we didn't get in the 3 points. But look, we just need to regroup. Maybe the international break may have come at a good time. We're going to get Ugarte in there, which is much needed. I'm sure we'll come on to the midfield deficiencies later on.
We will.
Players will come back. The players will get match fitter. So yeah, I think we've got time. We just need to stay level-headed. But yeah, big improvements needed and quick as well.
I think one thing you said there about players to be fitter. There's players that didn't go to the internationals, for example. There's players that didn't go to the Euros. Players like Marcus Rashford, who is held in the highest regard, and he does not look sharp at all. Like, Garnacho's been back for about 2 weeks, less than that, and he looks sharper than Rashford. So I think the question of selection needs to be posed well at the moment as well. Because if he comes back after the national break and he doesn't look sharp for the Spurs game, for example, then I'm asking serious questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because he should be by now have point to prove. Season before, he scored 30 goals. Last year was diabolical by anyone's expected standards. This season, you're thinking, okay, he'll turn it around. We've yet to see it yet. And Tottenham are doing their mix and match start of the season where they've got a few problems, but they still look like a serious team. I'm hoping that this changes for us going in, but I'm a little bit questionable. I'm a bit concerned in that way. But Dick, for yourself, is there anything you want to add to what Freddie was saying there? Is there anything else that you think might differently?
No, I agree with Freddie. It is going to take time for everything to gel. Where I have a problem is if I see players that are held in high regard and they don't look arsed on the pitch.
Absolutely.
I do have an issue with Rashford since last season. I think when we discussed it before, I said that he'd probably be better off being sold. I think it's because he's a local lad that we expect him to turn it around, because he should be showing a bit of pride in wearing the jersey, like being from the area, That said, if Xerxes had managed to put away his 2 chances, Rashford probably would have had 2 assists today. Probably wasn't Rashford's worst game, but I just question when he's walking around on the pitch. It just fucking bugs me. You have to die out on the pitch. That's what you have to do to get the love of the supporters. And when we see that, we'll take a loss if we see 1 to 11 trying their best on the pitch.
I only saw 4 players today actually give a shit. I only saw 4 players that I'll exempt from criticism, and that's Garnacho, Mainu, De Ligt, and Martinez. Max Riley was actually fairly decent. The rest of them don't care. The rest of them can jog on for all that.
I thought De Ligt had a great game. I thought he passed well. I thought he was brilliant. Martinez, I think, is the epitome of what a pure leader on the pitch is. I think he'll go into every game as if it's a do or die. So I don't question him. But there was too many players out there today.
He didn't start Julio, so there's no point even including him in that conversation.
But and that's the problem. Ahmed on form should be starting ahead of Rashford.
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
Bodes for me now. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like there's no debate for me. And Julio said there about you get a standalone game, go for a direct approach. We can still go direct with Ahmad.
Yeah.
You can go direct with Ahmad, Xerxes, and Garnacho. Rashford does not. He didn't do anything. Like I'm expecting him to score today. Like I'm expecting him to actually chop down trees. I'm expecting him to actually deliver against the team that is the most important league fixture, home and away, all season for United. Liverpool's our most important game. I'm expecting you to turn up over anybody else. Kobe Mainoo turned up more than him, which says a lot more for me. Now, in terms of can't fault Rashford's record, that's what Julio says. I can't fault Rashford's record because all he did today was nothing.
Well, see, the thing with records are during the past, he has to do it going forward. I think last season was very...
we were awful nipping.
It was very telling for United fans because if we don't see players trying, they can, as you say, they can jog on. We don't want them at the club. Whether he's Manchester born or not, I thought if we were going to sell him, it would have been this summer gone. And the fact that we didn't sell him, he should be busting a gut in every game that he's on the pitch. Because in my opinion, he's lucky to be getting picked by Ten Hag at the moment, ahead of a few other players.
Do you think that it's a question I posed to you, Freddie, and Dick, I can get your opinion on this afterwards as well. Do you think it's time to consider the fact that even if he is playing in the starting lineup where he's more or less the same thing where he will try to take on a defender that isn't really working or he'll just try and shoot. He has lost, from what I've seen, he looks like he's lost a yard of pace. So that effectiveness there when he takes someone on is a little bit gone. Now, I've said a few times I actually wouldn't mind him playing as a second striker or playing through the middle in certain games as well, just leading the line. Do you think maybe now it's the time to start questioning his position and maybe he needs to have a different position on the field if he actually does start a game?
Yeah. Look, first and foremost, I think he's a left winger. I think we've tried the striker experiment and it just didn't work. I don't think he's got that instinct or composure for what we're looking for.
I agree.
Secondly, look, I think he needs to have a good season. If you measure him over Ten Hag's tenure, first season very good, last year abysmal. He has to have a good season this season. So I don't think now's the time. I think judge him next summer. But I think seriously, if he doesn't have a good season, he's at severe risk. Largely because of his wages as well. We've seen this summer Ineos have gone, and most other clubs in the league, they've tried to reduce their wages due to regulations. I think that's really going to hinder him if he doesn't sort of pull up his socks. But I don't think we can blame today Rashford or I don't know.
Midfield structure is the biggest one today.
Look, Casemiro is the obvious one because for the two of the three goals, you could argue
massive
individual mistakes. Like Deck mentioned, if on another day Rashford could have ended up with 2 assists, if Xerxes, in my opinion, should have scored both, if not one.
We're going to get to him as well.
He definitely should have scored 2.
Yeah, I don't know about if you mentioned he's lost a yard of pace. I don't think that's the issue. For me, it's confidence still, and that was highlighted by a moment where he could have. I think it was Kanate. He just had to go down the line. Rashford a couple of years ago would have done that. What does he do? He turns back, recycles the ball. All of Liverpool's defence are back in structure, and we've wasted an attack. I think it's just a confidence issue. And to be honest, one thing that really surprised me today, you don't usually hear boos in the stadium, and he got a boo during that action, and he got a boo when Ahmad came on for Garnacho, which I think was the insinuation there was Rashford should have come off. So look, he's going through it at the minute. I think he has to have a good season. I think it's right that he played today. Usually he turns up in these types of games.
Absolutely.
Like last year, he's got that thunderbolt. And he usually has a good game against Liverpool. But I don't think anyone played well today at all. So it's possibly a structural problem, possibly a confidence problem. but he has to improve. Otherwise, yeah, it could be last chance saloon.
I know you said there about Ten Hag, for example, like he may have until Christmas. Rashford might have until the end of like next summer to judge him on that. But do you think it might be a lot sooner than that when it comes to judging Ten Hag? This is not an advocation for getting rid of a manager. I think for most fans they're already at that level. For me, I think the international break is actually going to be considered. I think they will consider the international break to either regroup or question serious issues. I don't think they will get rid of him, but I think the way that we've started the season, I think they will actually have to think, wait, hold on, something's gone very wrong here. Do you think that they might consider it before Christmas?
Sorry, who's that? Ten Hag?
Yeah.
Quite possibly. We've seen it before. It's a funny one because we know that they were searching for other managers over the summer. I don't think that's any secret.
Yeah.
So, if they do, I think that's a really bad reflection on Ineos, considering they've brought in the new coaches, they've signed more of his players.
They have.
We can say that there's a new regime in place, but ultimately it looks like a couple of them look like they're his signings. So look, they are backing him. And they did their due diligence on other managers, and they came to the conclusion that they believed he's the best available. But look, if we continue to lose, I don't think I don't think they would be afraid to pull the trigger at all. But I think that'd be quite a bad indictment on them. But B, this is the first case, if I'm honest, that I've seen where new owners have come in and they haven't brought in their own manager pretty quickly,
so sharply.
Yeah, so I can see it happening. I think it's a matter of when, not if. Whether it's this soon or not, after the statement that they've made in the summer, where they've extended his contract or just triggered a 1 year, whatever. That remains to be seen. But yeah, it could happen. We just have to hope that things improve. I think they will improve. Look, if you're looking at our fixtures after the international break, it's a little bit lighter, bar the Tottenham game. So you'd expect things to improve, especially with players coming back in the fold too.
Absolutely. I think that's a fair comment. Dick, there was something I wanted to ask you as we're going to start diving into some games now, like even just the performance of it. But there's something I wanted to ask you in particular. This was Arne Slot's analysis of Manchester United, and he literally came in saying he highlighted 3 weaknesses of Manchester United, even during the pre-season game, and from the league performance that we've just had earlier on this afternoon. So he said that Man United's system now is more of a 4-4-2, where they're playing a 9 and a 10 together. Fernandes and Xerxes, of course, played in that exact same setup today. He then said, because United are playing with that basic 4-man midfield, it's easy to just get run through them. There's more energy from us. All we need are some runners, and that'll leave them, and they'll leave their attackers in a 1v1 position. Based on that alone, are you worried that even though Arne Slot has just come in, this is his first league experience of this fixture, he's already highlighted Man United's weakness already based on a structural sense? Do you think anyone else will pick up on that, or do you think now, based on these comments, that might get word Ten Hag and he might actually look to change things up structurally after the break? What do you think based on those comments alone?
I think the way it was set up today wasn't going to do us any favours anyway, because, I mean, as he said, what he did was he put runners on and they just ran through the midfield. It was unbelievable. Like, I mean, they were literally just running through us. And I think if Ten Hag doesn't pick up on that, I fully believe Ineos will have a plan in place already, because this is a results-based business. Ineos aren't going to wait around for 10 more games of him not getting any points and losing matches 1-2-0. Ineos will have a plan in place for this. Sir Jim looked depressed off his head up in the stands there. He's not going to like losing to Liverpool. And see, that's what's unfortunate for Ten Hag, that it was against Liverpool. We're basically embarrassed today by Liverpool, because midfield was non-existent. They were running rings around us. So it doesn't bode well for Ten Hag at the moment. But if a manager who's had 3 games in the Premier League can address issues with our set up already. That's more of an indictment on Ten Hag, that people are picking up on it so easy, and they're basically coming up with a plan to tear us apart.
Yeah, and I think another thing we saw today was it wasn't just the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe or Sir Dave Brailsford. It wasn't even Wilcox that looked abject. Another individual that looked very abject, and we're going to look into, like, we discuss attackers in a minute. It was the face of Van Nistelrooy's expression after the second goal. It was very passive. Like, he didn't even want to look at the field after the ball went in. Like, he actually turned away. So I'm starting to think as well that maybe there's a time that he's come back and said, I've gone back in from PSV to this. Have I got myself even more of an issue, like just by coaching? Because when you looked at today, only two players looked more interested in terms of coaching. That was De Ligt and Martinez. Like, they just looked extremely competent together. Kobe Mainu looked relaxed in midfield, although he is having to do two jobs because Casemiro is like a lump of coal. You just want to chuck it now in the Caspian Sea for all I care. But he's still having to do two jobs. The fact that we couldn't get the Ugarte deal over the line really highlighted that we were in trouble today. Not getting that over the line on Friday, like at lunchtime, really summed up the fact that, okay, we know what we're coming in for. But I really don't want to make it all about Casemiro, even though I called him a clown at half-time. Like, I just think there is so much more of an issue, and I think the structural sense where I play to his strengths as well. And they are all exposed so quickly by the runners in the Liverpool midfield. Do you think there was another means that we could have set up today? I don't know, maybe include a Collier and like dropped one player out, or do you think he had to go for broke? What do you think, Freddie?
I think if Mount wasn't injured, we would have seen the same setup as previous games. I don't think Xerxes probably would have started. So we would have had four midfielders, and that would have certainly stabilised things. Because look, we know Liverpool's fullback. One of the big changes, I think, under Slot compared to Klopp is that their fullback really play narrow. You know, Trent and Robertson, they joined the midfield. I mean, Trent was pushing so far high. I mean, he nearly scored in 6 minutes if it wasn't offside. It seems like a long time ago now.
I know.
So, look, we were outnumbered. They were creating overloads in midfield. So I think we would have played differently. I don't think if Ugarte was registered midday Friday, he would have. It certainly would have started. I may have got some time at the end because he hasn't played all summer. Last he played was in the Copa America.
It's true.
But I think structurally, it was just all over the place. I mean, our fullbacks were playing so high. We were trying to play out of the back regularly. They're the best pressing team in the league. Still, that's what Klopp's instilled on them.
Insane.
They were bullying us. I mean, you know, Casemiro was just getting bullied, and even Mainu was getting bullied. I think for the third goal, he got easily pushed off by McAllister. They wanted it more. They were faster than us. All of the above. It was just really poor all round. But I think, look, structurally, we could have probably tweaked things. But even if we had our best team, even if we had, our optimal players in each position, if we didn't want the game, we didn't want to win as much as them. Ultimately, we would have lost anyway, in my opinion. And the worrying thing for me was they were bullying us. They were just sort of shoving us off the ball, and we're talking like Casemiro. He's a big guy. I know we're saying he's actually before today. We were saying, oh, he's looking leaner, he's looking more fit, he's looking more of an athlete, and he's had an okay couple of games compared to last year. But today, God, you can't just get pushed off the ball that easily, and you can't in the Premier League have 2 touches, 3 touches when in situations when you're receiving it from defence, you need to just have 1 touch or 2 touches at most. And I think that was the difference today. Technically wise, Liverpool were just better in every sense. The funny thing that I sort of saw after the game was we had a better XG than them. They had 3 shots on target. They scored 3 goals. We had 3 shots on target, 0 goals. So it's amazing how stats don't tell the whole story. But equally, and like you said, we're going to get onto the attack. Xerxes takes those 2 chances. It could have been a totally different game.
Yeah, I think if we had taken those chances, it might have ended in a draw. I think it may have done. But Yeah, I think Richard as well makes some very valid points. It echoes what you two were saying as well, which is effective and sums up really well. Dick, just we are literally going to get into that attack before we, in the sense that it was light and day difference today. The likes of, like, you just saw the plethora of changes as well that Liverpool can afford to make as well. Like, they took the mick out. It was like Salah had a field day. That's 7 goals in a, like, 7 appearances in a row he's scored at Old Trafford. Like, this guy is prolific when it comes to the Old Trafford fixtures. Luis Diaz has scored a double. When all summer Liverpool fans were begging for him to be sold as well, and he had a brilliant Copa America. Oh wait, he's got great market value. Let's sell him. No, I think you want to keep hold of your best players. That's what genuine squad depth is all about. You keep a hold of your best players. You force your way in. People in squad depth will never understand. Their main striker wasn't even involved today as well. Like, he didn't have any effect. So when you look at their attack compared to ours, Dick, what do you think the major difference is? Do you think it's because they've played longer, or do you think the coaching ability is a lot different? What do you think in contrast to their attack to ours?
Their attack was on fire. Their link-up play and everything was way better than ours. Now, Xerxes only after coming in, so hopefully he'll actually grow into it. But we don't, like, I'd say Rude was probably looking at it going, I could probably still do a job out there compared to these lads, and that's probably why he turned away. You know, he knows what it's like to play for the club, and he actually loved playing for United, and that seems to be the difference. But our attack is so disjointed. We've no focal point at the moment. Like, Highland is going to be our main striker, but he's only a young lad. I mean, who's he learning from? He's not learning from Rashford. Xerxes only after arriving there. So, I mean, Liverpool's attack has been playing together for a few years, so obviously that's going to be of benefit to them. But I mean, along with injuries and everything, we haven't had a settled attack in a long time. I think Highland will come good, but he has to be given some time. Xerxes, oh man, he really should have scored those two today. And I mean, you can't help but learn from someone like Ruud van Nistelrooy. I mean, that man was just a phenom in the scoring department, you know. So I mean, I'm hoping that they're going to take on board what he's teaching them, because we're going to need his help more than anything, because we're the only club not to score a goal in the Premier League this weekend, I think. I'm nearly sure.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had one against Fulham. Fucking one. Like, I mean, our attack. We've 2 goals, 3 games, 3 points. I mean, that is woeful.
I think another thing as well, and this is quite a scary thing, is people were, like, including myself because it's funny, but a lot of people were taking the mick out of Chelsea for all the players they signed. But yeah, one of the players they signed last summer in Noni Madueke literally walked into Wolverhampton, called it a shithole, and then he scored a hat trick. Like, he trolled them on his social medias, and then he scored a hat trick. Like, that's that kind of arrogance that you look at our players. Do they have any of that kind of arrogance? Like, I think the only one might be Garnacho. I think Ahmad is very reasonably headed. I don't think Xerxes got that kind of arrogance. I think he's a relaxed player. I think Højlund just wants to prove himself, and Rashford is whatever the heck he wants to be. I think the only one who's got a little bit of arrogance to their name is Garnacho, but he doesn't have the, as much as I really like Rashford, he doesn't yet have that all-round game that you can prove on the field where I've got all this arrogance and I can take a game by myself. I think that's something that he has to get into his game. Would you agree with that, or do you disagree?
Do you know, I think it's a real issue, our attack. It's clearly not good enough. First of all, I think it pains me to say, I think Liverpool probably have the best attack in the league. So there's no shame in, them spreading the goals out against us, because, look, City have got the best striker in the league, but Liverpool, I think they've got two quality players in each position across the front three. So they're all fit, so they can just easily replace. And they, Salah is truly world class, and he loves playing against us. So that's point one. Point two, look, our attack is just not good enough, quite frankly. Garnacho's very young, Ahmad's very young, Rashford's completely out of form. Whether he can return to those heights or not, there's a big question mark. Xerxes, it's his first start for us today. Let's not forget that. And Højlund is young and he's got an injury concern every 5 minutes. So it's a very young attack. We're trying to build something. The problem with that is you need to give it time. Then they are going to make mistakes. They do need to develop technically as well as physically in the case of some of them. I don't know where that leaves us. I'm a little bit worried about our
do you
attack.
think
Because we didn't score enough goals last year, and it doesn't look like we've improved that side this summer.
Do you think we missed the trick by not signing maybe another experienced striker instead of? I like Xerxes as a player, I really do, and I think if you're bringing in Xerxes, then are you unsure on Højlund? But I think the serious question is, do you want to have?
I think that's who we should have got and brought someone in that the youngsters could learn from, because at the moment the only ones playing there are youngsters. I mean, if you had someone like a Premier League goal scorer like Harry Kane, that's the type of player they should have brought in so they could actually work with him, and it would have been not a stopgap, because I mean he's going to score goals. That man will score goals wherever he goes. He just doesn't like winning trophies, but someone like that, I think, would have benefited us, because when you look at our front line, it is very, very young and inexperienced. That's where we're going to be.
Our oldest attacker is Rashford. Besides experience, he is our oldest attacker. He's 27 this year. He's played over He's played nearly 400 games for United. He's played over 400 professional football games since his debut 10 years ago. There's no getting away from this anymore. You know, you can make cases for Ahmad. You can make cases for Garnacho. You make any sort of case for Højlund, who's yet to come back yet from being injured as well, but he's still not fully fit. Xerxes, as Freddie said, I'm thinking Adam because I saw someone else on Twitter earlier on have an absolute head case comment, and they think they're Freddie, but they're not. These guys have so much time in their hands, whereas you've got players in the squad who are in the ages you would deem prime necessary or hitting their prime age, and they don't act like it. Whereas Salah's come out today on Sky Sports News Sky Sports saying that this is his last year for Liverpool. He doesn't even look finished. You've got Darwin Núñez, who's settled in the Premier League. He's completely chilled now. Luis Diaz looks to recover his form. They've got Cody Gakpo as well, who had a phenomenal European Championship. He'll get you clutch goals when you need it. I'm starting to think, as you said, our attack is so young, you've got to give it time to build. But are they really learning? Is what I'm worried about. And I don't think they are. I think when you look at the midfield, I think the midfield is learning a little bit more. But today they got cut apart, especially that we're going to talk about the first and second goals. The first and second goals is ample amount of time and opportunity from Casemiro on the field. And it's quite scary that a player who's in his 30s, albeit, I get it, he doesn't have the legs anymore. But even so, you know that when you're up against players like McAllister, who's won the World Cup, he will hunt you down like a madman. You should not be taking that amount of time, especially when you can just click a pass to Salah and you can play a pass in the midfield. What did you think about Casemiro, even for the first goal, Freddie? Honest to God, I was Jesus Christ.
Yeah, abysmal. One of the worst individual 45 minutes I think I've ever seen at Old Trafford, if I'm being honest. Yeah, the thing is he's had it all really. The first one was just a completely unforced error. He just tried to long ball it. No one's really around him. Someone's just cut it out, couple of balls in, and Salah has got the quality to dink it back post, and they scored from it. The second one, he's like I mentioned earlier, he's just got shoved off the ball. He's so easily there's no desire there. He's taking too many touches. Awful from someone of that experience, and he has looked better this start to the season, which is the annoying thing. Just as he's sort of taken one step forward, he's sort of taken two steps back with it. So I think it's the right decision to take him off at halftime. I think we had to. I think it could have been a lot worse if he stayed on, and I actually think Toby Collier had a decent 45 minutes. I think he stepped up as best as he could, but. The other thing is, I think Casemiro, we all think that he's this like Ugarte type of player. He's not. I think one of his best strengths in the United shirt has actually been on the attacking side. He likes getting forward. He likes those late runs in the box. He likes those attacking headers. I think we all just sort of miscategorizing the type of midfielder he is, and forgetting that he played with two of the best midfielders of our generation at Real Madrid, and he just hasn't got those peers in the United team. So yeah, I think the emergence of Ugarte demotes him as a squad player. Given his age, he certainly lost a yard of pace, and he's not got much confidence. But we just need to. We hope that Ugarte is the player that we signed him, because I think he really balances our midfield out, and I do think that was the right recruit to fix or help fix one of the biggest issues we had last season.
Midfield.
In midfield, yeah.
I think if you're going to, I think the one thing for Ten Hag, and this is a thing that Ten Hag really, I have a problem with, and it's kind of indicts to Bruno Fernandes as well, because he's done it again today. That really annoys me. I'm sick of seeing him run 50, 60, 70 yards back when he's an attacking midfielder. If he wants to play in a deeper position, then you play him in a deeper role. Beside Kobe Mainoo, you just flip the system around, make that sort of change, and stop playing him as a number 10 if you want him to run 50, 60, 70 yards, right? If you're going to play Casemiro in the same team now, we've already seen established that Kobe Mainoo does two jobs. He does Casemiro's job and he does his own. And he is struggling with that. He should just be doing his own. Do you think, Deck, and this is just my opinion, I want to get your opinion, but do you think, I agree that I don't agree. I believe if we're playing players like Casemiro in the starting lineup, where he's expected to do all this work, we should be playing two midfielders. We should be playing four. And we should be playing in a four-man system with just the two up top. I don't think you can play with just three of Casemiro's on the field. Would you agree, Deck, or would you disagree?
Yeah, no, I think as you say, Mainoo's doing two jobs in one. So, when you have three in the midfield, the pressure seems to be more on Mainoo at the moment, because he is doing the majority workload there, So, yeah. But you can't expect him to do it game in, game out. And I think that's why he was at fault for the third goal. He got knocked off the thing, but sure, he'd been doing himself and Cass's job in the first half. Look, Casemiro, complete and utter mare today. It's sad, but unfortunately, when you play for Manchester United, you're going to get the brunt from the media then, because arguably we're the one club that every news outlet wants to talk about. So he's getting vilified in the press at the moment. But he knows himself that his performance today was completely crap. He's self-aware that much, but he just didn't. Nothing clicked for him today. Everything that could go wrong from went wrong. But Aidan is right. Nobody listens to Spitty Carragher. Yeah. Good man.
It's nice to hear that from a Liverpool fan.
I know.
It's just beautiful. Quite the comment here. The referee was at fault. That was a push in the back to United 18. Okay, so he's saying that it's a push to Casemiro.
It was
at one point.
He was knocked off the ball. That's not a foul. If you're going to give that as a foul, you won't be able to touch the ball, let alone a fucking player, You can't. You have to be stronger than that in any game that you're playing, and you can't be knocked off the ball that easy. And unfortunately, he was.
We're going to do a little bit of praise, though. The likes of De Ligt, and I'll say, actually, three of the defence deserves a bit of praise. I'll include Max Riley as well. He actually made himself available again today. He actually played very well. Dalot, I'll let Freddie slaughter him, because if I do, we'll be here all night. But I think the likes of Mazraoui, De Ligt, and Martinez can give themselves at least some praise, even though it was a poor overall team performance. I think they can at least give themselves a bit of opportunity. They at least tried to make themselves available. Obviously, the second, the Diaz goal, neither of them were near. It was Dalot unmarked. And I say that unmarked because Dalot was literally not marking anybody. Just like last week, Dalot was out of sight, out of mind. It's becoming a recurring theme for him. Do you think it's time he gets dropped, considering what's been played around him, Freddie?
No, because there's no one else. I think he's doing a job left back, and yeah, he just has to. I think attacking, he's actually looking okay on the positive side. He's some of his
Attack-wise,
yeah, superb actually. Yeah, I think there was a structural problem with our fullbacks today. They were pushing so high up, and I can only assume that they were being told to do that. And the problem with that is Liverpool are the best team in the league for their high press. We kept trying to play out. Our midfield couldn't cope. They would win it up high, one or two passes from that turnover, and they'd have a chance. And by that time, Dallow's too far up, as we saw for the third goal. And it even happened a few times on Mazraoui's side. So I can only assume that was a structural problem, which I'm sure that they'll look at tomorrow morning on the training ground. I think De Ligt had a very good debut, if I'm being honest, and it sounds foolish me saying that given the result. But there were moments where he was good. He one-on-one tackles, standing tackles, he was brilliant. Couple of slides.
Yeah.
I like that he took that yellow card. I don't care. We needed that. It lifted the crowd up at the time. So I think him and Martinez are going to be a good solid partnership going forward. But we need a left back. We need Luke Shaw back. We need either Malacia. We need that position addressed as soon as possible in the coming windows, because ultimately Dallow's not a left back. It's a makeshift defence. We don't know who our first team right back is. So it's if it is Dallow, he's evidently not playing there. So then that impacts De Ligt's ability going forward. If he doesn't know who he's playing with or will be in the future, that could all change after the international break. So at the minute, it's all stopgap. It's the same story as last season on the left-hand side. We need that addressed. But I think he's doing a decent job. Ultimately, he's up against Mo Salah today. So there's no shame in conceding a few goals. But those fullbacks really need to be a bit more gung-ho and not go too high up, especially if our midfield's playing like that.
Yep. I think, considering well he played in pre-season, I would have given Harry a massive chance. Even though it's against Liverpool, if we're willing to start Willie Kamwala against Liverpool last season, an FA Cup game that could have been do or die for the season, then Harry Amash should be starting at left back in a Premier League game, in my opinion. I think we need to, I'm going to reiterate this, and not many people are going to like it, but in the summer, the likes of Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia need to be sold. We do need a left back that is fundamentally not just good, but a left back that's actually available. Our left backs never seem to be available. It's actually quite frightening. Before I get your opinions on the midfield deck, and we're just going to discuss that for goal, 2 comments came in. Obviously, I'm maybe a little bit mindful of language, but mind you, I say that, but I don't really do much. One word, rash out, hang out. So that's 2 words. This is not Ajax, version 2. F off Eric. Okay, we are tired of excuses, arrogant little man. Yeah, some of his comments tonight were very abject. He did say that at the end of the season, I know where I'll be winning trophies. Yeah, you could be at a different club, mate. Just saying, you could be winning trophies at a different club, but it might not be United. Just so you know, Ten Hag. Just so you know. Everybody calling Casemiro's name. Where's the fullbacks in the first goal? The second was the English referee's fault, and the third goal was a foul too. The fullbacks were actually, one of them was actually behind the winger, the other was behind the other, whereas Casemiro allowed the ball easily to be played into the Liverpool midfield. The minute he had the ball, we knew what was going to happen. Now, the second goal, is it the referee to blame? No, I think blaming the referee is a poor mistake. If the referee has a mare, then I'll critique a referee. And the third one, where was the foul? Freddie?
None of them were fouls. So Casemiro, he just got out-muscled, and Mainey was out-muscled. So I wish the referee did blow, and went in our favour. Wishful thinking, but none of them were fouls. I'll be fuming if that was against us.
Yeah, no, I didn't think there were fouls either.
What did you make of the midfield today, Dick?
Oh, overrun. If you're expecting Kobe Mainoo to do it all on his own, I mean, you can't do that against most teams, and you definitely can't do it against Liverpool, because every time Mino even had the ball, there was 2-3 Liverpool fellas coming at him. We have to figure out how to play forward. This going backwards all the time. They're not making themselves available for a forward pass. There's no one running off the ball. I think that's what they need to learn. And I think that might be down to the structure of it as well. There's too much emphasis put on we have to play out from the back. No, we don't. We have to get the ball forward and put it in their net. That's what we actually have to do.
Yep.
And if you have 4 Liverpool lads in the centre of the pitch, then you have to match them with 4 lads on the United team, because Jesus, Mainu, I think he had a decent enough game. It'll be highlighted he was at fault for the 3rd goal.
Yep.
Brand, but I mean, he was probably bollocksed after doing everything in the first half.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, there's something actually I want to show as well, just because where the madness is, right? So this is the stats just from the preseason game, right? And I'm going to show you a contrast. So this is the preseason game where we lost by the same scoreline. Obviously different scores as well. But in one game, we were absolutely ruined in possession. Whereas the second game, which was the second game that we played Schlot, which was obviously today, stats on this one, just getting it now, completely polarising in difference. So again, United are obviously out attacking Liverpool in that way. The passing was here or there. You'd think, okay, pre-season's pre-season, nobody's fully fit. You're not playing your strongest 11s. You're going to be slightly better, or so you hope. Only one stat was only 2 stats were different. In this game, when it actually shows behave yourself, 2 seconds, it's just misbehaving. Should be that. No, it's this one. Here we go. Come on. This one, United had less shots, had more possession, and outpassed Liverpool. But what we did with the possession was far worse than Liverpool, because they were so, as Freddie said earlier on, I'll zoom in for everybody. They were far more accurate with how they played into the final third compared to us. There was one point where they had, I think, 10, 12 touches in the box in a 5-yard period. In the same period, we only had the ball in their box twice. Does that concern you even more? Not just the attack, but the whole team in general.
Yeah, hugely. I'm surprised to see our passing accuracy that high, and maybe that's built up from just passing out the back. But I thought our passing in the final third was atrocious. There was a certain first half. Honestly, I lost count of how many times Xerxes lost possession. Bruno as well. Every pass, simple pass, was just getting intercepted. It was just wayward, and then leading to their counter attack. So, whereas stark contrast, all of their passes just seem to materialize. So, yeah, this could, I don't know what this is down to. This could be a confidence issue or just a lack of quality, or all of the above. And I'm sure that will improve with time.
Yep.
But today, it just nothing went right. Nothing went right for us. I thought Bruno had a very poor game, which the media didn't really pick up on. And
do you think they're sick and tired of talking about his performances?
No, I don't think so, because I think generally he's one of our better performers, certainly back end of last season and in recent years.
Yeah,
I just think today was it was the first game Xerxes started. I think they operate in quite similar areas, if I'm being honest. I personally question that Xerxes signing. I like Deck, I think we should have gone for a Premier League proven striker, and someone who kind of fits the mold of what we're trying to do. And I see him and Højlund as very different profiles, which makes me think, like, what are we trying to do? What striker are we trying to
I know.
incorporate?
I know. Deck said Harry Kane. Like, fair mention. I would have went slightly closer in terms of league-wise, even though he's still in the league. I would have went for Ollie Watkins, personally, even though he's in the Champions League with Villa. My preference would have been Ollie Watkins.
I'd snap Ollie Watkins. I'd bite your arm off for Ollie Watkins. I think he's a brilliant striker. He'd cost a hell of a lot of money, I dread to think. But yeah, that's an improvement on what we've got. And he gets the goals. So, yeah, for sure.
Eddie Watkins for me, Adam. Who have you said there, sorry? Did you say Heung-min Son there?
Yeah.
I like him. Even though he's not got the pace anymore, he's still a fantastic finisher.
Yeah.
He's still a fantastic finisher of the ball.
That's what we're missing. We don't have a finisher.
Yeah. I agree.
I think Højlund will. I think he can be. With time. I like him. I just think that then and now, it's not looking good, and I do think that's going to be with left back. It wouldn't surprise me to see a couple of new attackers come in next year. I mean, we're 3-0 down today. We didn't even see Anthony come off the bench. An 80 million attacker. It just shows that the manager's lost faith in him, and I think that says it all really. That if you're not bringing your most expensive attacker on, where are the goals going to come from?
Yeah, I think it's also an indictment that maybe Ten Hag might need to consider a system change as well. Like, I think even when Lenny Euro comes back as well, when you look at United's options in defence, I think Ten Hag should consider maybe changing it from a back four. I'm not advocating that we become a free at the back system team all straight away, but I think when you look at how easy it is for United to concede from left, like a left field position, we might need to maybe double or triple up on the left-hand side. I think we might need to consider a three-man defence at some point.
Quite possibly. One thing I forgot to mention, that I think Sky showed a stat on screen. It's about 10 minutes into when Ahmad came on, and he touched the ball more in the box than I think all the other attackers bar one, and he'd only been on for about 10 minutes. So that's what I
was going to ask you about, like, the difference that Ahmad brought on. Like, it was 6 to 8 minutes too late. It was like, I don't know why he didn't start. If Ten Hag's decision, as Julio said earlier on, it was to be more direct, then why would you not start with him anyway? He is very direct. Like, it doesn't make any sense in that way. But one thing, obviously, because we've got about 5 minutes left before we wrap up, we just like to do some. Unfortunately, everyone does it. We will have to, but this is going to be a bit painful. But we are going to do some player ratings, but we're not going to do everyone one by one. We're going to do it in select fields. So I'm blissfully taking the defence. Deck, I'm going to give you the abject horror of rating the midfield, and Freddie, you can absolutely do your worst with attack, because if I took the attack, somebody's walking out here with a 0. That's all I'm saying. So
don't forget the goalie, because I think he had a shocker as well.
He's going to get it, and Onana straight away is getting a 2, because his positioning was god awful. Like, his passing from the back was weak. He only delivered, I think, 2 successful short passes. His distribution going out wide or even going long was horrific. His ability to be unable to close down a striker who's coming at him is bad. Like, I don't see him at all coming at a player. He likes to stand thin, and I'm like, what are you supposed to be doing? Like, why did we sign this guy? Please, next summer, get rid of him. I'm actually begging now. I'm actually begging we get rid of him now. We spent 50 million on Onana when we should have signed Diogo Costa. I'll leave it at that. Mazraoui, again, as Fred did point out correctly, there was a moment where he was too high up and he was a little bit caught in behind. But apart from that, I thought he had a decent game. He had an effort as well where he should have scored. His passing at least was more sharp than Dallo, and I think he looked more involved. He looked more interested. I'm not going to go too low, but just be honest. I thought he was a 4. I can't give anyone so high because obviously it was a defeat, but I think some players can hold themselves in good stead. Maguire obviously came on, never a lot, but you know what? I'll give him a 4 as well. I think he was just there because we just had to make changes. De Ligt, I'm going to give him a 5, same as Martinez. They're the highest 2 players I'm going to rate because I thought they were comfortable in defence. De Ligt's distribution going long was impressive. Martinez building from the back. Seriously, if he was playing for Man City or Real Madrid or a Barcelona with the way he builds out from the back, he would be 100% the best centre back in world football. For me, he's the best centre back on international level, alongside Christian Romero. But I thought, in general, and Antonio Rudiger, but I thought his performance today was fantastic. Dallo, sharpen up, mate, or just do something else. But I'm not going to fault him too badly because, to be fair, there were moments in the game where he actually was overlapping Rashford, and people saying, "Oh, Rashford needs players to overlap him." Well, Dallo did twice, so where's the excuses? So, like, he did overlap him on 2 separate occasions. So, like, where's the excuses that he needs someone to overlap him? You know, like, he actually did do it. The only thing is, nobody was making any inward runs. So again, it's almost like what Freddie said a little about the coaching. It just makes no sense. It's all scattergun. But yeah, so midfield next. This will be fun. Dick?
Well, Casemiro is going to be no great shock. I'm not giving him a 0 because he plays for United, but he's not getting higher than a 1. It was just a complete shit show of a day from him. It was woeful. Less said about it, the better. Hopefully, he never plays like that again. Because if he does, I don't think he'll ever get back onto the pitch after it. Maino's definitely getting a 6 because he's doing all the friggin' work in there. Yeah, and I think, do you know what? He's going to be some player for us going forward. He's so talented. He's so good. And if there was someone in there that had as much ability as him, we'd have a very, very solid midfield. So definitely Mainu is getting 6. Collier came on. He had the thankless job of taking over from Casemiro. I thought he acquitted himself pretty well in the second half. I give him a 5, most definitely. Yeah, and he needs more game time as well because if Casemiro can't do it, then keep him off the team. Leave the young lads in. You know, who else do I have? On Bruno, no, he had a brutal game. I think very rare that I say Bruno has a bad game, but today he managed to. Bruno gets a 3.
I think that's fair all round. I think I can't argue with any of that. And yourself, Freddie, to close it. Your ratings on some attackers, 4 attackers, I believe, to decipher.
Where do I start? I'll start with Garnacho. I think I'll give him a 4. I don't really remember any successful pieces of play that he was involved in. He was running around, but he didn't have much creativity behind him. I think he needs. We should have got a bit more direct, and those balls over the top. That's where we got it wrong today. So I'll give him a 4. I'll give Rashford a 5, which might be generous to some, but I think on another day he could have got 2 assists. I think, and that those crosses, if I'm not wrong, they came after the heavy boos from the crowd when Garnacho was replaced by Ahmad. So yeah, credits to putting in those crosses. On another day, he gets 2 assists, and his narrative is possibly slightly different. But he says he's very low on confidence. He needs to start running at his defenders more. That's what he used to do. That's what he's good at. But I'll give him a generous 5 today. Xerxes, I'll give Xerxes a 5 as well. Maybe generous again, but it's his first start for the club. I think he got him in the first half. He was getting in positions quite well. He lost possession too much, however, and he, on the other end of what I just mentioned about Rashford, he should have scored those 2 chances. I think if the Liverpool attackers have the same chances, they're both goals. And if they go in at that time, we had an ample amount of time to possibly go and get a third. We all saw what happened at Everton with Bournemouth yesterday. So yeah, it could have been another day. And actually, Xerxes had more of an XG than Luis Diaz, who scored 2 goals. So it just shows he should have buried that. But look, I'm sure that will come with time. It's his first start. He's young. Hopefully, after the international break, he gains confidence and he can start producing the goals. And I think Ahmad gets a 6. I think he was our best attacker. He wasn't on for long, but he was direct. He was running at defenders. He won a few corners, and it was. I felt sorry for him not starting today. I can see why from a tactical point of view, which didn't work. But I think he needs to be our first choice right mid going forward. So I'll give him a 6.
Yeah,
I agree. I think this is a fair comment as well from Aidan, where he says Xerxes will be for decent for you, I feel, or he'll be United Nunes. I think in comparison, it is actually a fair comment. I don't think that's a dig at him in any way. I think it could be a reality where they'll have the odd goal, or there's moments where he'll have something easy and he will make that error. And Nunes' biggest problem in the Premier League has always been those errors. Like, it's the confidence for him. I think it could well be the same thing for Xerxes. It's the same thing for Højlund as well. Their confidence in front of goal is massive. It took Højlund nearly 6 months to score his first league goal, which was quite scary. But he was doing fine in Europe in the cup games. So I'm like, why can't you just score in the league, mate? Just fucking score already. But that does happen. But there's been some great comments in, guys, tonight. So thank you all for watching. Again, we would have liked to have had a better result, because we would have had a much more interesting conversation. But I think considering what we had tonight, it was still fun. As Freddie has said before, like he said this before we even went live, this sort of conversation, at least to discuss a result, is therapeutic. For me, I was sat between the psychiatrist and the psychologist. I've still got what I need, at least, and now I'm back in my realm of chaos. So I can go and chill with that. But gentlemen, before we depart for the evening, where can we find you? And share your socials. And yes, Aidan, we will see you at the Realm of Silence, and we will make some noise in it. Only kidding. Fred, I'll start with you. Where can we find you on your socials?
Oh, I'm on Twitter X, MUFC_FW, and I'll be getting on a lot more post-match reviews on the channel going forward.
Ace. And Dick.
Yeah, as you can see, at DeckMad1973. Also have a Facebook page, MUFC Irish Reds. Stuck in a lot of different stuff. So yeah, you'll track me down there.
Causing carnage, I might add. Causing carnage. but that's just how it goes. But to all, thank you very much for watching. And just like we said earlier on, Casemiro under pressure is just like this guy.
Sometimes. Sorry.
Sorry, Tara, you're a mate, but I have to. It's always funny. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time for more content on the channel. So like, share, and subscribe, and keep an eye out. Bye for now.
Cheers, guys.